Listen, there's no better Monday during the NFL season when the Dallas Cowboys lose on Sunday. Let me repeat that. There is no better Monday when the Dallas Cowboys loses on Sunday. Listen, we're going to talk about the NFL. We're going to recap the NFL this week. We're going to talk about standouts. We're going to talk about Week 7 previews. We're going to talk a little bit about the Major League Baseball. But again, I cannot tell you that it is so much pleasure as an NFL fan on Mondays when the Dallas Cowboys lose. Especially when they lose to my team, the New York Jets. The team that I had going fishing last week, and I still have them going fishing. But just like I told you all, and I told some friends of mine, that the Jets will strap up their chin strap, lace up their shoes, and come out and play football against the Dallas Cowboys. And that's exactly what they did. What a game it was. What a game it was yesterday. It was a thrill to see the Jets get their first win of the season over what many had as a playoff team, as a Super Bowl contender when they came out the gate as 3-0. And yes, that's the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys coming out the gate 3-0 against the Giants, Miami, and Washington. At the time, they was combined for a 1-8 record. And we already anointed them as Super Bowl contenders. Dak as an MVP candidate. But how the tides have changed on the Dallas Cowboys. But let's talk about the Jets. What a win it was. Listen, if you don't know Jamal Adams, get to know that guy. He was a beast. He was a man among boys yesterday out on that field. The box scores only have him for 9 tackles, but that's not doing him any justice. Jamal Adams was all over the field yesterday. He was a Ray Lewis, a Lawrence Taylor, a Troy Polamalu type player yesterday. He was on every single play. And yes, he was the one they called the flag against, well, not against, but for, on the pick play in the end zone. Hey, whether it was a pick play or not, he sold it well. Sometimes you get breaks at home, but that's not why the Cowboys lost. The Cowboys lost to the Jets simply because the Jets showed up with pride. And an 0-4 team, 0-5 team, they came out there with pride and they gave it their best and they played ball yesterday. And I told you last week that Dallas was going to look ahead to the Eagles game coming up Sunday night. And we'll speak more about that. But what a game it was last night for the Jets against the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. He's probably somewhere around 15th in the league. But Dak, I said it last week and I'm going to say it again. Sew that hole up in your pockets because you're losing money game by game, week by week. If the reports is true, you want $40 million a year, you're not a $40 million quarterback. Listen, let me tell you something. I'm a firm believer that no matter how bad a team plays, usually the best team or the better team finds a way to win. The better team usually finds a way to pull it out and get the win. This did not occur yesterday for the Dallas Cowboys on the road at MetLife. They managed to get 6 points in the first half against a Jet winless team. 6 points. And that was 2 field goals. This is a game that if you're going to be a playoff team, and I'm talking to the Cowboys, no matter the circumstances, you find a way to win. I know you have injuries, but everybody has injuries. You come into the season week 2, everybody has injuries. Some even have injuries going into week 1. It's not like the Cowboys are without their best player. Last I looked, in the huddle was Dak and Zeke. And on the other side of the ball, in the huddle is DeMarcus Lawrence, Robert Quinn, Sean Lee, and Van Der Esch. So you're not without your best players. Dallas has to find a way to secure that win on the road if they're going to make a statement as being Super Bowl contenders. They're going to look back at this game because this is the game that I personally believe that knocks the Cowboys out of the playoffs. I was sitting there watching the game with some Cowboy fans yesterday, and I was telling them that as a kid growing up, I was always told to eat your vegetables, meaning green. Eat your greens. And, there was a couple of vegetables that I did not like. I didn't like lima beans as a kid. Wasn't a big fan of sweet peas. But I'm here to tell you, Cowboy fans, Cowboys don't like greens either. Cowboys don't like greens either. They lost to the Packers. They lost to the Jets. And that's lima beans, that's sweet peas. And, guess what? What's coming up next week? Some more green. Spinach. And that's the Philadelphia Eagles. Dallas will go on a 4-game losing streak. This is the game right here. The Jets may have ended the Cowboys' aspirations of being a playoff team this year. This is the game that's going to haunt the Cowboys. Very good game by the Jets. I can't say enough about how they played. They got New England next week. We'll talk about that later in the show. But I hope this is the game that turns them around and that somehow they can salvage the season. Again, I have my Jets ice fishing last week. I don't see them making a playoff run. But if they can get healthy, get back C.J. Mosley and Sam Darnold. Can't say enough about that guy yesterday. He was 22 for 32. He threw for over 338 yards. Yeah, he had a pick, but he also had 2 touchdowns. He had a very crucial play. I thought on that great defensive stance, I don't know what the Cowboys was thinking about. They had a sure 3 in their back pocket. They went for it on 4th and 2. You line up Zeke in the backfield, and you let him lead the way for Dak Elliott to try to get 2 yards, and they stuffed him. And on the very next play, from the 8-yard line, Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson connects for a 92-yard touchdown run. Outstanding. Incredible. That was the game right there, folks. I'll tell you, the Jets look very good. I wish they could have had some more points in the second half. But you know how it is in football. They go to this prevent defense. Everybody seems to relax, forget what you do in the first half, and get away from it and kind of take your foot off the pedal a little bit. But you know what? The Jets is a young team. They'll learn from that. Great win, a big signature win. Can't say enough about the Jets. Cowboys is spiraling down. They will lose 4 in a row going into next week when Philly goes into Jerry's world. Jason Garrett is officially on the hot seat right now. Officially on the hot seat. This is a guy that I believe is married to Jerry Jones' wife's niece or something like that, because he could have been fired a couple of years ago. But he is, if you're missing your barbecue grill in your backyard, check over in Jason Garrett's office. He might be sitting on it because his seat is hot as we speak. Moving right along, I can't say enough about this. I didn't see the game, but the fact that they pulled out the win 20-7 against the defending National Football Conference champs, and that's the Los Angeles Rams. I can't say enough about the 49ers, what they are doing. They are one of 2 undefeated teams left in football, them along with the Patriots. What the 49ers is doing is incredible. I'm not sure how they're doing it. I got an idea. I believe it's defense and Mike Shanahan, who is an offensive guru and who is a qualified coach in this league. But I don't know how San Francisco is doing it, but their defense is stepping up. I saw a stat yesterday, and I'm going to repeat it to you guys. They held the Los Angeles Rams to 46 yards in passing. That's incredible. 46 yards in passing what they have done, San Francisco has done to open up the season, coming off the bye week, I'm going to tell you something. San Francisco is going to be the reason why Dallas or Philly doesn't make the playoff, because as it looks right now, Dallas or Philly, and Philly is my team, and after that bad loss yesterday, in order for them to make the playoffs, they're going to have to win the division. Because I'm convinced Seattle and San Francisco are making the playoffs. One wild card team is already secure. Now, you have the NFC North. There's not a team under 500 right now. So if that trend continues, there may be a solid playoff team coming out of there. The Saints are not slowing down behind Bridgewater. Bridgewater will be calling plays for somebody's team as the starting quarterback next year. And with the resurgence of Carolina, who don't seem to like Cam, but likes Kyle Allen, the Eagles or the Cowboys will have to win their division to make the playoffs. And I'm going to tell you, I can't say it enough, because I noticed some Cowboy fans have come on to the show a little bit late in the cast. But that loss to the Jets yesterday, and I got to repeat this, that loss to the Jets may be just the reason why the Cowboys will be home come January watching the playoffs. Wow. I mean, just think about it for a second. The only good thing out of that loss to the Jets yesterday was that it wasn't an NFC opponent and it wasn't a division opponent. Unlike the Eagles loss, they got two bad losses. They have a Minnesota loss and they got a Detroit loss. And if there's some wild card tiebreaker situations, they're behind the 8 ball. So that's the only good thing about the loss that the Cowboys had to the Jets. But the Cowboys are overrated, and I'm beyond the Cowboys. I'm not talking about them. They came out the gate 3-0 against 1-8 teams. They're overrated. And again, they don't like their greens. For all of y'all, what I mean by that, they don't like their greens. They lost to the Green Bay Packers. They lost to the Jets, and they're going to lose to the Eagles come Sunday night. That's lima beans, sweet peas, and spinach. And as a kid growing up, you're supposed to eat your vegetables. Well, they're not eating this week. They hadn't eaten last week, and they won't eat next week. But moving along, let's get back to the San Francisco 49ers, because they deserve some credit on a morning like afternoon like this today. They're 5-0. They're one of two undefeated teams. Shut down a high-powered Rams offense. Just shredded them on defense. Just shredded them. The 49ers are for real. I don't see them being less than 12-4, 13-3 this year. And oh, by the way, the Rams has been officially eliminated from the playoffs. They're not bouncing back. The Rams will not bounce back. Kudos to the 49ers. And staying in that division, I can't say enough about Russell Wilson. I really can't. If you say Russell Wilson is the best quarterback in the game, I am not going to debate you, because all this guy does is go out there and win. And win. No matter the circumstances. Home, on the road, it don't matter who it is. Another stellar performance out there in Cleveland by Russell Wilson. Threw for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns. Got a little support by Chris Carson, the running back. He had 124 yards on the ground. Yeah, what a game by Seattle. They're behind the 8 ball because they're chasing the 49ers. And to the Rams' credit, they are the defending NFC champion. They could turn it around. I don't think so. Because, life is about attitude. Life is about your mental. I don't care how much physical talent you have, how much physical attributes you have. If you're not mentally sound, that means nothing. And right now, there's 2 teams that that in their head mentally is affecting their game, it's the Rams and the Cowboys. And you might need to throw in the Cleveland Browns in that category as well. Because there was a return of Odell yesterday. They got 124 yards from Nick Chubb. But is Baker Mayfield that guy? Is Baker Mayfield that guy? Has he been anointed too soon? Has he been given the reins as this next quarterback to watch? Is he reading his own press? Because he lost that game for them yesterday. He can't find a way to stop having turnovers. Anytime you have your running back rushing for 124 yards, your star receiver, he's getting 100 yards, but you're throwing picks. When do you stop throwing these picks? I mean, I'm looking at his numbers. Yeah, he had good numbers, but 3 interceptions, 249 yards, 1 touchdown, but 3 interceptions? Who wins turning over the ball? Ask Jameis Winston. He had 5 interceptions and a fumble. Who wins when you're giving the ball up? That was a horrible loss at home for Cleveland in a division that really nobody's trying to run away with it. The Ravens got a win yesterday. The Steelers is 2-4, and the Bengals is one of the 2 teams that's still without a win. Without a win. So you're looking at early on, the only threat in the division are the Ravens. And right now, you just put Pittsburgh back in the game at 2-4 with their win last night over against the woeful Chargers. What has happened to the Chargers? I know what's happened. Phillip Rivers is not that guy either. He's not that guy either. I've always said, he always had a lot of pressure to play with Phillip Rivers because they traded for him in the Eli Manning trade on draft day. They didn't re-sign Drew Brees to let him clear the way. Oh, by the way, Drew Brees is possibly a top 5 quarterback to ever play this game. Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowls. Phillip Rivers, what have you accomplished? What have you accomplished? What have you accomplished, Phillip Rivers? So Pittsburgh, they're 2-4. Cleveland, you let Pittsburgh in the game. Baltimore is taking a grip on the division. The only good thing is, Cleveland, you did beat Baltimore. So the pressure's on Baltimore to beat you the next time around. And you beat them in Baltimore, which was pretty impressive. But besides that win and the Jets win, what else have you done? And this is on the shoulders of Baker Mayfield. But you want to talk about a quarterback that gets it done? The last show that I had, I recall one of the callers calling up, I believe it was Sean, he wanted to tell me that Dak Prescott was a Russell Wilson Jr. No. He is not. But the guy who is a Russell Wilson type clone is the guy down in Houston by the name of Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, again, what an outstanding game. What an outstanding win for him to go into Kansas City after Kansas City had lost the week before to Indianapolis. And Pat Mahomes is 4-1 after losses. To go into Houston and pull off that win was very impressive. Oh, by the way, he had 280 yards passing. He threw for a touchdown. Did have a couple of interceptions, but he rushed for 2 more touchdowns. I think he outplayed Mahomes. Especially in Kansas City. Now, Kansas City and Philly are my 2 choices to go to the Super Bowl before the season started. Funny thing about those 2, they experienced the same problems. They have no secondary. They're constantly getting torched. The secondary for the Eagles got blasted yesterday by Cousins. Blasted. Cousins and Stephon Diggs just ran up and down the field. Not even a player within 5 yards in reach of Stephon Diggs. It was just horrible. What I saw with the backfield, the secondary of the Eagles. But yet, them in Kansas City have the same problem. And you give Deshaun Watson that type of favoritism where you don't have a secondary that can deal with his receiver and his arm strength and the ability to scramble a little bit until someone gets open or gets space out there. Oh, it's going to be a long afternoon for your secondary. And he displayed that yesterday. Great game by Deshaun Watson. If there's anybody that's a Russell Wilson type in the making, it is that guy. And he's a winner. And I believe when it's all said and done, he will reach the Super Bowl and win himself a championship. Because this guy is simply a winner. Deshaun Watson goes into Kansas City and pulls off the upset. Again, my Eagles just look awful. I really don't have anything to say other than Sunday is probably the biggest game of the season for the Eagles. I have them beating Dallas next week on Sunday night, but I have nothing really good to say about them. The running game, ineffective yesterday. They put Carson in a position where he had to do too much, and we know what happens when he does do too much. You don't want that to happen. Is Carson Wentz a good quarterback, top 15, top 10 in this league? Yeah, sure. But you got to establish the running game. Also, establishing the running game keeps the other team off the field. You know, the funny thing about it is we talk about Deshaun Watson's ability to throw the ball downfield. Their running game was effective as well. They had the ball. Their time of possession in that game was like 39 minutes and change to 20 minutes and change. It was 2-1. You keep Pat Mahomes off the field, you have a chance of beating them. That's what running the ball will do for you. The Eagles need to get back to the run game. They keep the opposing offense off the field. And I still, healthy or not, they need to make the trade for Jalen Ramsey. Because our backfield is depleted on defense and it's horrible. Stephon Diggs looked like Randy Moss out there. He was catching the ball with a defender that was 5 yards nowhere in sight. That is just awful display of defense. Eagles need to tighten up on that defense in the secondary. You can't rely on the front seven all the time. Those backs, those DBs are horrible. Absolutely horrible. Saints win again. I touched on it. Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, I can't say enough about this guy. His numbers is not jumping off the charts or anything like that. But this is a guy that's still finding his way back, getting his rhythm back. And, you know, once upon a time, he was on the verge of being a franchise quarterback. All he does is just keep the boat afloat. You can't say enough about him. They haven't lost a game in Drew Brees' absence, as with him as the starting quarterback. Again, I believe he will be calling plays for someone next year as a starting quarterback. I can't look around the landscape right now, but he deserves it, and he's playing well. The Steelers get their second win of the season. Again, I spoke on the Chargers. Good win for the Steelers. They're in a position where they have to go for it week to week. There's no rebuilding in them. They gave up their first-round pick for the defender out of Miami. So they got to go for it right now. Pittsburgh is with their second win of the season. Baltimore looks like they want to run away. They got another win. But, Pittsburgh is still capable. They got one of the better coaches in the game. And you know, at some point, they're going to lace it up and play ball. It wouldn't surprise me if they went on a 3-4 game winning streak. I had them going fishing, but anything is possible. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Carolina, this is an interesting story for me. It is an interesting story for me. By far, Cam Newton is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the game. But Cam Newton can't seem to win with this team. I'm not sure what is going on. I think his arrogance, his cockiness, and his brashness has rubbed some folks the wrong way over in that locker room. It is a different game when Kyle Allen is back there. In fact, they're 4-0 with Kyle Allen back there. If Carolina continues to win, the question is going to come up. Is Cam the quarterback of the future of this team? That's the question. Is he the quarterback of the future? I mean, your first answer is obviously yes. He's more talented. He's a good community guy. You trade Cam, you're taking a PR hit. It's going to be a nightmare. But you don't win with Cam anymore. But you're winning with Kyle Allen. And the numbers don't jump out you. It's not like he's doing anything great. But I just think there's a sense of urgency and a sense of chemistry where the players on both sides of the ball is rallying behind this guy so he can get the win. So he can get the win. I mean, they played Jameis and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers looked awful. Well, Jameis looked awful. Threw 5 picks and a fumble. But they were forced. The defense was stepping up. They forced those turnovers. As I said, on both sides of the ball, they're playing for this guy, Kyle Allen. I don't think they do that for Cam. I really don't think they do that for Cam. So I see Cam possibly on the trading blocks. Whether it happens during the season or after the season, I'm going to tell you, Denver would be an ideal spot for him. Elway would trade for him. He traded for Flacco. He's desperate for a quarterback. I don't think he's willing to find one in the draft. I think he wants somebody that's seasoned. Cam Newton to Denver makes a lot of sense. I used to work with a buddy by the name of Jeff Sutherland. I'm sure he'll put his hands up for that. He's an Auburn graduate and a Denver Bronco fan. Cam Newton to Denver will humble him, number one. And number two, it'll put him on a team with some vets over there. And John Elway will trade for him because he's desperate to find a quarterback. As I mentioned, he traded for Flacco. Now, moving right along, if Dan Quinn is not cleaning out his office today, when will he clean out his office? That is an awful loss for the Atlanta Falcons yesterday. Just an awful loss. Now, I'll be the first ones to tell you, I think the Arizona Cardinals are a much better team than many people think of. They open the season with a tie. They have 2 wins. They're a much better team than some people think. Of the teams with the records under 500, they may be the best of the teams with records under 500. Kyler Murray is going to be a player in this league. How well he does and what kind of career he has, that's still up for grabs. But Kyler Murray is a player in this league. He has a head coach that not only believes in him, but been after him for years. Recruited him to come play for him when he was a college coach. And now he has him in the pros. And Kyler Murray, all he does is win. I mean, him and Matt Ryan had a battle yesterday. A battle yesterday. I mean, Kyler Murray threw for 340 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. Matt Ryan threw for 356. He had 4 touchdowns. It was a battle. It was a battle. And it came down to a missed extra point. But the Falcons at 1-5 is a much better team than that. Something is missing. The cohesiveness, chemistry, something is missing. But they ice fishing. They can't come back from 1-5 and make a playoff run. And Dan Quinn should be cleaning out his locker. But kudos to Mr. Blank, off the blank. He's a loyal kind of guy. He don't do things on a panic. He sticks with his guys. But this is not getting better right now. This is not getting better. The Falcons need to turn it around. And the only way they're going to turn it around is letting Dan Quinn go. But Arizona and Kyle Murray, there's a future building there. You know, they'll probably get another top pick. And they'll just add on some pieces. You know, maybe a free agent or two might say, hey, I'll go there. But yeah, just like Suggs. Suggs was with the Ravens last year. He went there. It might be a reason why the defense is playing well. You got like a coach on the field. Offense is clicking. Larry Fitzgerald is still in the huddle. I don't see this team making a playoff run. But Arizona, you come play them, you better lace them up and tighten up that chin strap because you're going to be in for a game. And if it comes down today, Dan Quinn gets fired, I will not be surprised. I will not be surprised. Because the Falcons had aspirations of not only making the playoffs, but winning a division and making a Super Bowl return. And that's not about to happen. So there's a couple of good games coming up next week I want to focus on. You got Kansas City against Denver. Kansas City losing 2 in a row. It might be just the team they need to get back in action, get back in winning ways. So look for that game there. I think they'll beat Denver. Rams versus Falcons. You got 2 fallen programs. If the Rams feel they still can have a chance to turn this around and possibly can make it into the playoffs, it starts in Atlanta next week. It starts in Atlanta next week. I think Atlanta's going to come out, play for pride, just like what I saw with the Jets this week. I think they're going to tighten up their chin strap. You know what? That's a tough one to call. I'm going to say the Rams beat Falcons. I'm going to go with the Rams beating the Falcons. The Bears and the Saints. I think this is the games that Bridgewater gets his first loss as a starting quarterback. They go into Chicago. I think Chicago's defense is going to be ready. The support of the crowd. I think this is going to be a tough one. If the Saints pull this off, Bridgewater just got himself a new contract to play in somebody's team next year. But this is going to be a tough one for Bridgewater. Seahawks in Baltimore. Yikes. Lamar Jackson, you can't say enough about this guy. You know, he had a tremendous game this weekend. I don't bet against Russell Wilson. I got Seahawks winning that game. But it should be a great game. Eagles and the Cowboys. That there might be for the division. And the winner there will probably win the division. I believe Dallas is spiraling down. I think it's in their head. I see the Eagles going into Jerry World and pulling off the upset. Well, just getting the win. I see the Eagles going out there, securing that win, taking a hold in first place. So I got the Eagles beating the Cowboys. And then I'm going to take another gutsy call. I said the Jets will upset the Cowboys. You heard it here. Next week, Monday night, the Jets will upset the Patriots. The Patriots is not going 16-0, mind you. The Jets is going to pull off that upset next week on Monday Night Football. And before I close, I do want to talk about the baseball playoffs right now. That was a tremendous win by the Yankees coming out the gate in Game 1, 7-0. Unfortunately, the Yankees wasn't able to secure the win yesterday. Houston Astros, they were able to get the win in extra innings. That one's going 7. I like the Yankees on the upset in that, the road team winning that. But I got to tell you something. With the Nationals up 2-0 on the Cardinals and going home, this 2-3-2 format favors the road teams. If the Yankees come and win all 3 games, it's a wrap. Now the Nationals have 3 games to win 2 at home. It's a wrap. The 2-3-2 format favors the road team. It really does. So, I wouldn't be surprised if the Yankees come home and win the next 3. I know Houston got pitching, but Yankees got hitting. And there's no doubt in my mind the Nationals going to wrap it up. So I'm looking at the Yankees. I had the Yankees and the Braves in the World Series. Looks like it's going to be Yankees and Washington in the World Series. And it should be fun. But that's going to conclude today's show. I appreciate all of you who tuned in. But the Cowboys are going down. Cowboys are going down. There's not a better Monday in the NFL than a Monday when the Cowboys lose on Sunday. Peace and blessings. This is Chopping It Up with Ramel. See you all soon. Shania? Yes? Hey, I'm done.